Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. I hope you're all well on this Sunday. Tonight's video is going to be my opinion for the top 5 worst coaches of the NRL in 2020. Before I get into that video, if you have not yet subscribed, I'm currently at 462 subscribers, looking to get to 500. That's my next goal. I'm not probably going to get there by the end of the year, but that's my next goal. So thank you everyone that's recently subscribed, and thank you to everyone that's subscribed to the channel from the beginning. Getting into this top 5 list, not everyone can come first, not every club can reach the finals, so obviously there's going to be some coaches that have a bad time, and I've compiled the top 5 worst coaches of the 2020 NRL season. I'm going to start with number 5 and work my way up to the worst coach of the year. So before I get into the actual list, I'm not attacking the coaches on a personal level, just on a coaching level. Obviously I might upset some people, but I don't really intend to. This is just critiquing their coaching ability, not attacking them not attacking them in their personal life. I'd see that. So coming in at number 5 is Paul Mcgregor. So if you would have said to me at the start of the 2020 NRL season that Paul Mcgregor would be a coach at St George by the end of 2020, I probably would have said that you're having a bit of a laugh. And it turned out to be that way because he was sacked after round 14 of the competition, after the game against Parramatta. Before that, he had 4 wins. For a couple of years now, there's been talk about him being sacked, and I'm surprised that he's lasted as long as he has, but he got those 4 wins. Of course, in his last game against Parramatta, St George probably had one of their best performances of the year. They sent him out on a winning note, but I think you could probably see that over the last couple of years, he has been one of the worst coaches in the NRL. One interesting thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about is that there has been some bright points with Paul Mcgregor. 2018, St George were, I think, only about a minute away from qualifying for the preliminary final, but they lost that match against South in the elimination final. But Paul Mcgregor, he gets me 5th place on the list. Coming in at number 4 is Paul Green. He's another coach that's been under a lot of pressure over the last couple of years, especially since Thurston retired at North Queensland. This year, North Queensland had another really poor year. Halfway through the year, and after the club had only won 3 games, the club decided to sack Paul Green. Paul Green tried to dress it up a bit and see that it was an amicable split, but I think North Queensland's patience run out. Josh Hannay took over. He gets an honourable mention. I think he was a bit of an imposter as an interim coach. North Queensland only won 2 of the last 8 games with Josh Hannay at the helm. I think a lot of people were probably blaming Paul Green for how North Queensland were playing and the style of play that they were going for. But you can clearly see that after he left, Paul Green wasn't the problem, because they kept on losing, they kept on playing very poor. So Todd Peaton's got a big job ahead of him in 2021. Coming in at number 3 is Dean Pay of Canterbury Bankstown. He was sacked halfway through the year after the club had only won 1 match. For the last couple of years, Dean Pay has really struggled as Canterbury Bankstown coach. Some people that defend him say that, oh well, he was left with a bit of a mess, but he's been using that excuse for the last couple of years now. He's been doing the Nathan Brown excuse, saying, I'm skint, look at me, I'm a poor man, look, check me pockets, there's now in there, I've got no money to spend on players, I've got no talent, I don't have a talented squad. But then it seems that, especially I think at the back end of last year, the club strung together about 5 or 6 wins in a row. They nearly qualified for the top 8, believe it or not. So I think whenever the club was doing badly, he was using that as an excuse, saying, oh, we just don't have the money, we're skint. We have to just work with the squad that we got. But I think the Canterbury Bankstown board got to a point, the same with the North Queensland board, they just went, look, enough's enough, we have to get shot of here. They got Steve George-Arliss in there. He did a little bit better. I think some of the performances under George-Arliss were a bit better for Canterbury. They weren't getting blown off the park. They were in games. They should have won a lot more games than probably what they did. But Dean Pay gets me 3rd place on the list. Coming in at number 2 is Stephen Kearney of New Zealand. He was sacked after having started off the year very poorly. 4 losses and 2 wins. Stephen Kearney, in my opinion, is probably one of the worst coaches in the NRL era. After he was sacked by New Zealand, if you get his records from Parramatta and New Zealand and put them together and get a win percentage, he's finished with a win percentage of 35.2%, which is quite low compared to other head coaches out there and their records. I think Stephen Kearney, in my personal opinion, is a bit of an imposter of a coach. And I think he's gone back to Melbourne as some sort of an assistant role, or he's gone back in that direction, but I don't think he's a head coach. Yes, he did have some success with New Zealand, but I think at NRL club level, he's not a head coach, and he gets me second place in the list. And at number 1, the worst coach of the 2020 NRL season, you probably already guessed this, but it's Anthony Seibold of Brisbane. After 2019, and the club suffered that 58-0 elimination final loss against Parramatta, the Inquisition was out, questions were raised, alarm bells were rung. Going into 2020, there was a lot of pressure on Brisbane to erase the memories of 2019. They started off great. I will give Anthony Seibold and Brisbane that. They beat North Queensland up in Townsville, and then they beat South Sydney. But after that, the wheels fell off. There was player disharmony. The coaching ranks were really bad. Seibold was sacked after having won only 3 matches out of 13 games. He ended as statistically the worst ever Brisbane coach. Peter Jettle took over towards the back end of the year. He wasn't very much better. They didn't win a single game under Peter Jettle. I think for the next few years, or probably forever, Anthony Seibold, it's unlikely that he'll probably ever head coach in the NRL again. I think his reputation was damaged to such an extent that you probably won't see him as an NRL head coach anymore. I think he might spend the next couple of years as an assistant, or he might be doing some other roles. But this particular experience with Brisbane and getting their first ever wooden spoon, that would have probably scarred him for life. And I think he was just a terrible fit for Brisbane. And he gets me worst coach of the NRL 2020 season. So that's my list. Do you agree with it? Don't you agree with it? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. I want to know your thoughts on the video, and let me know if there's any coaches that I missed. So that's my video. If you have not yet subscribed, I'm currently at 462 subscribers, looking to get to 500. That's my next total. And I'll be releasing another video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, this is Rugby League History signing off, and I'll catch you all later in the next video. Alright, tatty bye everyone.